Welcome back to the Daily Dribble podcast, guys. As always, I'm your host, Nick Zammit. Thrilled to be back for the final episode before the start of the 2024-2025 NBA season. Now, it feels like it was never going to come around, but we are just about there. Only a handful of days away now. I'm buzzing to say the least. It's been a big couple of months. I've loved doing all these episodes, speaking, recapping the season that was, previewing the season that's to come, all that great stuff. But nothing compares to actually having NBA basketball back in our lives. It can't come soon enough. It's now just a handful of sleeps away. Bring it on. That being said, there is one still bit of business I want to take care of before the first ball is tipped off, and that is going through and predicting my major award winners. All the big awards, the MVP, the Rookie of the Year, the Sixth Man of the Year, all those awards that we know and love, I'm going to go through today and give my predicted winner, as well as my dark horse. Now, I'm sure there'll be a few contrasting opinions to the selections I've put forth today, but certainly looking forward to hearing your thoughts, as I always do. Before we get into things, though, I just want to give a big shout out to both Stadium Scene and The Cover, both those networks continuing to showcase all of my work here at the Daily Dribble, as well as a whole host of other content creators in and around Australia, New Zealand, the US, and Canada. Guys, I appreciate you sticking with me throughout the course of the off-season. Your support really means a lot. Likewise, to all you guys out there for tuning in and week out. I know sometimes it can drag on a little bit without basketball in our lives, but nevertheless, I really appreciate you guys sticking with me, continuing to engage with me, giving me all your thoughts. I know for good or bad, there was quite a mixed reception to my episode last week. Check it out if you haven't already, where I went through and did my Western Conference season standings predictions. There was quite a lot of backlash about one pick in particular, the Memphis Grizzlies. I loved hearing it, loved the fact that we all don't share the same opinion. It's great when, contrasting opinions collide and, you can have a passionate but somewhat heated debate about it. So I've loved speaking with you guys about it this week. Okay, enough blathering from me. Let's get into things. As I say, going through all the major awards here. I'll start with a winner. Before giving my dark horse, as I say, week in and week out, let me know your thoughts, guys. Hit up all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. I would love to hear it. All right, let's start firstly with the Rookie of the Year. I've gone with Zach Giddey from the Memphis Grizzlies as my predicted winner for this one. Now, Edey's the betting favorite. I think rightly so. It doesn't really feel like a season where somebody's going to come out and put out Wemby-like numbers. Like what he did last year in his rookie campaign was second to none. Doesn't kind of feel like it's going to be so much the case this year. Yeah, I still think Edey's going to be a pretty big contributor there for the Grizz. Now, at 7'4", he's going to be a mismatch in the paint for pretty much anyone. I think he's going to excel at scoring in the paint, rebounding, and providing really high-level rim protection alongside Jaren Jackson Jr. there. Given all indications that he'll be starting, he should log some pretty decent minutes. And that's going to enable him to put up stats and have a bit of a leg up over a lot of the other rookies in this class. I don't think off the bat from what we've kind of seen so far, there's going to be too many that start. But the fact that Giddey will is certainly very advantageous for his Rookie of the Year push. I just think with his combination of size, defensive presence, and potential playing time, it really does give him that edge over the rest of the competition in that rookie class this year. Part of me wanted to go Alexander Sarr after seeing what he did with the Perth Wildcats in the NBL last season. Part of me also thought Zachary Ricochet, the number one pick for the Atlanta Hawks, was worth a shout. But at the end of the day, I think Edey's going to get there. My dark horse for the Rookie of the Year goes to Rob Dillingham from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, I think Dillingham's shown enough in preseason to be optimistic about. Knowing what the Wolves are capable of, they've kind of proved to themselves that they're a formidable team within the West. I think knowing that now, they're going to be pretty conscious to try and rest players like, Mike Conley in particular, going into the playoffs. They'll kind of be quite sparing with him across the regular season. I think as that backup point guard there, Dillingham, is going to give him plenty of quality minutes as well. Now, I spoke about Edey, the advantage for him being a starter. I think Dillingham will get quite a few starts possibly in the back end of the season where he could mount a bit of a late push for Rookie of the Year. He's a really dynamic scorer. He can create his own shot well. Yet his ability to play make at a high level with his court vision, I think he's someone that is probably worth a bit of a flyer. He has a very flashy style of play, and I think that's going to keep him front of mind in voters' eyes. He's certainly one, as I mentioned, that I would look for in the back end of the season to make a real strong push for Rookie of the Year. So there you have it. Rob Dillingham, my dark horse pick. Into DPOY, the Defensive Player of the Year, my predicted winner, to the surprise of probably no one, is Victor Wembanyama. Now, this for me was certainly one of the easier picks. He averaged 1.2 steals, 3.6 blocks, and 10.5 rebounds last season. He did all of this whilst playing just under 30 minutes per game. Now, per projections heading into this season by ESPN, all these numbers, including his minutes played, are expected to go up. Steals, blocks, and rebound all on the up from there. I think, the numbers he's going to put up, it's going to be hard to deny him. The only problem I think that might, put a little bit of a dent in his resume for Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, is the Spurs' overall defense. Now, if the Spurs can somehow be a top, let's say 15 defense, I think he's probably got it as a lock. You wouldn't want to slip too far beyond that into the 20s. But I think if they can be a middle of the pack defense, if he somehow pushes up to a steal and a half per game, 4 blocks, 12 rebounds, I think you've got to give it to him. So Victor Wembanyama, my Defensive Player of the Year prediction there. My dark horse for this one is Anthony Davis. Now, for the Lakers to be successful this season, AD needs to be playing at an all-NBA level, I believe. He finished 4th in DPOY voting last season, and despite being not one of the favourites, I really think he's worth a shout. He's going to have a very big job on his hands to get these Lakers into a playoff contention, but also to have a respectable defense. If they can somehow get themselves, I think playing is an absolute minimum, but if he can help guide this defense into a top, let's say 10 within the league, and if they can somehow push towards the playoffs, he'll get the rebounds, he'll get quite a few blocks, a couple of steals. Don't be surprised to see him once again up there in the voting. So again, as I said, not one of the front runners, not one of the betting favourites, but someone who could be worth a bit of a shout as a dark horse there, Anthony Davis. Let's push on, guys. Still quite a few awards to go here. I want to go next with the Coach of the Year. Now, I've gone for this one. I think this might surprise a few people. My predicted winner is actually Willie Green from the Pelicans. Now, if you tuned into last week's show, in my Western Conference season standings predictions, I put the Pelicans as 3rd. Now, they finished last season 8th with an overall record of 49-33. I think given how close the West will be this season, they'll be in and around that mark wins-wise once again. Maybe a little bit higher if all things break correctly. And hopefully with that, they can push a little bit higher in standings. I think with the wins, I think they're a home court team. I really have a lot more faith in the Pelicans than a lot of other people. But I think if they can go from 8th to, let's say, hypothetically 3rd, I think Willie Green gets the nod there. So he is my pick for Coach of the Year. On to my dark horse for this one. I've gone with Greg Popovich from the Spurs. Now, Pop is already a 3-time winner of the award. Only Don Nelson and Pat Riley have won 3 as well. I had the Spurs predicted at 13th last week. Now, I know this is quite low. I think if things somehow break correctly, if Paul just helps elevate them. Wemby makes a big step into a potential MVP candidate. If we get the best level of basketball from, Harrison Barnes, there is a world in which I see them towards a playing team. If they get in and around that mark, or somehow, by the grace of God, even a little bit higher, I think Pop's a bit of a shout. Now, it is a very dark horse prediction. It is very long odds. The likelihood is pretty slim to, I wouldn't say none, but pretty slim. I wouldn't be, I think worth a little shout there, Pop. I'm very excited to see how the Spurs go. I think they're a potential, I could say a bit of a Cinderella run for them. And I think they'll play spoil to a lot of other teams' kind of campaigns this season. So don't be surprised if they go a little bit higher this year and Pop potentially getting a few votes. Okay, on to sixth man of the year. I've gone with my predicted winner for this one, Malik Monk from the Sacramento Kings. Across the course of the past 2 seasons, he's finished 5th and 2nd, respectively. For me, it really feels like this is his year to win the award. Across last season, he averaged 15 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, whilst playing 26 minutes per night. With how offensive-minded the Kings will be this season, he's going to get plenty of opportunities to put up numbers like this, and even potentially more so. I really think this is his year. This will be the first time he clinches the Sixth Man of the Year award. He certainly deserves it, and it's such a benefit for the Kings to have a spark plug like Malik Monk who can come on and just absolutely shoot the lights out. Watch out for him this year. It's going to be a fun year in Sacramento, I think. My dark horse for this one is Russell Westbrook from the Denver Nuggets. Now, paying pretty long odds this one. He played 68 games last season for the LA Clippers. He started just 11 of them. He is at the point in his career, he's officially a sixth man now. I think his days as a starter are probably over, which is fine. I think he's transitioning gracefully in that role. My goodness, what a shocker there. Transitioning gracefully into that role. This is a Nuggets team that lacks depth, and in particular lacks bench depth and experience. Russ is the perfect guy to lead them. Now, he finished 7th last season in sixth man voting. He averaged 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists across 22.5 minutes per game for the Clippers. I think all these numbers will go up. I think he's going to control that whole second unit. I reckon he'll be around the 25 minutes per game mark. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him pushing 12, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists or so. They're pretty tidy numbers. And if the Nuggets are a top couple of seed, I think Russ is a guy that will poll quite well in the sixth man voting. So give him a little sniff there, Russell Westbrook. My most improved player. Now, my predicted winner for this one is a fellow Aussie native by the name of Josh Giddey. I think a change of scenery is going to be perfect for Giddey. He is fresh off a stellar campaign there with the Aussie Boomers at the World Cup, at the Olympics, should I say. I really think he's going to flourish in Chicago. He had a down year last year with OKC, 12 points, 6.5 rebounds, 5 assists. With increased minutes and opportunity in the Windy City this season, I think these numbers will shoot back up in a big way. It's certainly not unrealistic at all that he'll put up, 17, 7, and 7. That would not shock me at all. And I'm certainly rooting for him to kind of have a career resurgence. I know what he's capable of. Like, even prior to the NBA, his time in the NBL, he's a floor general. His scoring's improved. His playmaking and court vision is up there with the best of the best in the NBA. I really think a change of scenery is going to bode really well for him there. So, yeah, my predicted winner for this one, Josh Giddey. My dark horse for the most improved player is Brandon Pazensky. Now, I think he's probably the biggest beneficiary of Klay Thompson leaving. He predominantly came off the bench last season in his rookie campaign, averaging 9 points, 6 rebounds, and nearly 4 assists on 38.5% from three. Now, granted, he only took 3 attempts from three per game last season. Reports are the Warriors want him to bump this up drastically, pretty well tripling that volume there. And with that is going to come increased averages in points quite dramatically, you would think. Now, in this Warriors team, Steph is the clear, unequivocal, he's the number one. He's the superstar. There's no really defined number 2 on this squad. No Wiggins, Kuminga, Green. No one's got a real clear stake on it yet. You'd probably lean towards Kuminga. Could Podziemski potentially be the guy to step up and fill that void? I don't know. But regardless, he should be set for a big sophomore campaign, I believe. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see these numbers, especially in the points, nearly double. As I said, big hole to fill there from Clay. He's going to get really increased opportunity. And as I said, the amount of threes they want him to put up, he's going to drain them at a fair old clip as well. So yeah, big season for Podziemski coming up. Okay, on to the MVP award. My predicted winner is Luka Dončić. Now, he's been my favorite across probably the last 3 or 4 seasons. I really feel as if this is the one he's going to win. 34 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists last season. Very, very stiff to only finish 3rd in the voting. Now, they are my predicted number 1 seed this year. I think if he puts up numbers similar to what he did across last campaign, and if the Mavs can be in that top 1 or 2 seeds, I think this is finally the year that Luka gets that elusive MVP award. He certainly deserves it. He's certainly been knocking on the door. One of the premier players in the league across the last 4 or 5 seasons. I feel this is the one he finally gets it. And guess what? I'll probably have him as my pick next year as well. My dark horse pick for the MVP is Steph Curry. Now, he's going to have a mountain of work on his shoulders there in the Bay Area. I spoke about the Warriors not having a clear, defined number 2 option. He's the number 1 guy. No worries whatsoever. He's going to have to be at his brilliant best across 82 games to get the Warriors into that playoff mix, I believe. Last season averaged 26.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 5 assists, whilst going at nearly 41% from 3. The year prior, he was sitting at nearly 30 points per game. And I reckon for the Warriors to be a playoff, kind of even playing team, that's pretty well near where he's going to have to be again across this season. If he's putting up numbers like that, and if he can help claw the Warriors into a playoff spot, I think it's well worth a shout to potentially clinch his 3rd MVP award. I can't wait to see what he does this season. I think he's in set for a bumper campaign, paying very long odds there. A lot of the foreign players are kind of occupying the top few spots in MVP voting. Jokic, Luka, Shea, Embiid hanging on the periphery once again. Giannis even up there. Back the US blood. Steph Curry could be a bit of a shout, I think, once again. Finally, into my predicted champion for this season. I think it's going to surprise quite a few people. I'm going the Dallas Mavericks. Now, I found this actually quite hard to pick. I leant towards Boston for a while. I leant towards OKC, doubled back to the Knicks, kind of gave Philly a bit of a shout, the Phoenix Suns, but I landed on Dallas. Now, they were last season's Western Conference champions. I think they've only gotten better. I think Clay makes them so much more potent offensively and really helps take some of that load off both Luka and Kyrie. Gives them a legitimate tertiary scorer. Now, we saw the impact of not having a tertiary scorer in the playoffs had on the Mavs. They just kind of ran out of steam, ran out of options, very kind of one-dimensional. Having Clay, though, makes them so much more well-rounded. Likewise, I think the additions of Quentin Grimes and Najee Marshall from the Pelicans there, really tidy additions. Plus Gafford, PJ Washington, and another year of growth from Derek Lively. they're also quite competent on the defensive end. Once they made those mid-season trades to get PJ, to get Gafford last season, their defense ramped up considerably. And I think, as I said, another 12 months under the belt of Derek Lively, they're going to be really well poised in that regard too. I reckon a lot of people have said I gave them overs last week, putting them as my predicted number one seed. Okay, I'm happy to live with that. I probably did a little bit. The Thunder was probably the smart pick. But when have I ever been one to go the smart pick? Yet come the playoffs, I think they're going to be super dominant. I think they're going to have the best player in the league on their hands in Luka. I think Kyrie is that perfect 1B player. And with how they're kind of well-rounded on both ends of the floor, they are my predicted champions. Watch out for the Dallas Mavericks. My dark horse pick for NBA champions, I'm staying in the Western Conference, is the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, this, again, I said just before when I spoke about Willie Green, the Pelicans are a team I'm considerably higher on than a lot of other people out there. I think for this to actually eventuate, things would have to break their way really, really well to turn this into a reality. Yet with Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, the newly acquired DeJounte Murray, and an absolutely dominant-looking Zion Williamson, there's enough there to like about them. The biggest concern is their big man stocks. Daniel Tice, Yev's Missy there, the rookie. All reports suggesting they're going to start with Herb Jones as a small ball 5. Don't know about that. But hopefully this can be addressed throughout the course of the season. There's still potential of Brandon Ingram being floated. Maybe they can, trade him into a really competent big man. I think, the dark horse pick, it's not meant to be a team that's likely to do it, but I think the Pelicans are certainly in with a sniff. So if you're a bettor or anything of the kind, they could be well worth a little dabble on there. Guys, there you have it. There's my predicted award winners for the upcoming season, the 2024-2025 campaign. We'll see how they go. Hopefully I hit on a couple. I think in years gone by, I've had an okay strike rate. Hopefully this year I can enhance that. Guys, I tell you what, next week though, we will officially have ball back in our lives. It'll officially be the start of a new season for the Daily Dribble podcast as well. A couple of things in the work that's taking shape. Can't wait to share them with you as it starts to progress. Looking at bringing the release date for the episodes for today. Now, here in Australia at the moment, they're normally released Saturday morning. Looking at doing these Friday morning now, just so you can get it on that Friday commute to work, on the way home, heading into the weekend. So just wherever you listen to the show, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever, so you get these episodes as soon as they drop, just as there will be a little bit of a tweak in schedule there. Tell you what, cannot wait. As I said, I appreciate you guys sticking with me over the course of the off-season. We finally made it. This time next week, we will officially have ball back in our life. I'll be here breaking down all the action from the first couple of days. It's certainly going to be exciting, to say the least. Till next week, though, guys, enjoy the week. Enjoy the last couple of days without basketball, because once it begins, it is going to be at breakneck pace, as we've come to know and love with the NBA. But till then, remember, be good or be good at it. Take care.